Welcome back to West Texas View.
We're glad to have you back, and just before the break we were talking about how your attitude affects your mental health and how your attitude affects the whole family. And so for a person who's for a family that has a mental health issue within one member, then the dynamics of the whole family changes. And so continue that conversation.
So we were talking about the attitude, how you perceive things. It's more like the very popular paradigm that we tend to give is the fact that if the water is in between filled up in a glass, you can look at it two ways. You can see the glass half full or half empty depending on how you look at it. Both ways you'll be right, but your attitude and your perception about doing things will be very different if you find the glass half full compared to if you find the glass half empty. That exactly was my point over here. So that was the attitude about it. And sometimes we are so much engrossed into one way of thinking that it's very difficult for us to change our attitude ourselves. And that's where the therapist or counselors can help you. In fact, the role of counselors particularly can be very, very important in bringing to your light, bringing to your attention a completely different way of thinking, which you may not have experienced before, and that may have a huge say of how you feel, how you perceive things. The other thing that you can do is that if you find someone close to your family member who has been perceived or diagnosed with depression or other forms of emotional problems that tend to run the family, then particularly in children and adults, then you should be very careful about seeing if you're struggling with one way or the other. For example, if you have depression, if your first degree relative has suppose been diagnosed with depression, and you suddenly find yourself that you're finding yourself losing motivation, having trouble with sleep, nothing has changed around, but you find that nothing interests you as well. You gradually are withdrawing from things you used to like to do before. You're feeling overwhelmed, at times tearful, getting angry. You're not as productive at work. Of course, you want to get with your regular physician to make sure that everything is physically okay with you. Is your hemoglobin okay? Your blood pressure is okay? Your blood sugar is okay? But once you have ruled that out, that will be a good point to start looking into it if this is emotional concern, because you already have first degree relative, maybe a brother or sister or aunt or anybody connected to your blood suffering from depression. So people have to generate awareness about it, be aware that mental illness can be an important factor causing friction in life, causing maladaptation in life, and that will be something people have to take charge of things. Give you an example. When people take charge of things themselves, then change has happened. Physicians keep on telling you, now, no matter how many times I tell a diabetic overweight person that you need to exercise, you need to exercise, you need to exercise and control diet, nothing happens. The moment the person realizes that I have to do something of my part, the kind of control they think they can have, that changes everything. Like a neighborhood watch. Now, how many cops can you put on the streets to keep your neighborhood safe? Not enough. But the moment a band of young men in the neighborhood say, okay, we're going to have a neighborhood watch once in a week, randomly here and there, we're going to patrol the streets on the night, being connected, guess what? Crime rate goes down tremendously. So the power has to be with the people. And the power comes with knowledge. And knowledge and power, in my mind, are synonymous. So being aware of illness, mental illness, being aware of what the symptoms are is the first step. Other things that you can do is to make yourself physically healthy. And it's very easy to do that, even if you do very minor, small steps. For example, exercising.
Which is nothing more than walking if you
walking,
just need to.
making move. Physical mobility and emotional illness cannot stay together. It has to be one or the other. For example, either you can emotionally be sick or you can be physically mobile. You cannot be physically mobile and healthy and emotionally sick at the same time. It's just not possible. The more rigorously you exercise, the more regularly you exercise, the more different exercises you do, the more muscles you make your muscles move around, the less emotional concerns you will have. It's plain and simple as that. If I could trademark this sentence and have a copyright of it, I wish I would be a billionaire in it.
That's right.
But it's an open secret, and most people listening, I think your audiences are listening, they're intelligent people, they're listening, they know it. But the crux is applying it. Applying.
Taking charge.
Take charge of it, take control of it. Emotional health starts with you, and you have to take control over it.
But one of the things that you just said, having to do with taking charge, is that whether it's in your mental health or whether it's in your physical health, you've got to be the one that says, I'm going to learn everything I can, I'm going to ask questions, and then I'm going to take charge. I'm going to be the one that
have control over it.
Takes the responsibility for my
absolutely, absolutely.
Because the other thing that, and this one of the questioners says, is that they had a child with some problems, and it had brought the whole family down because everybody was catering to that one. It affects
the whole family. One single family has emotional concerns. The whole family,
and
it just destroys the whole dynamics of the family. It affects every single member of the family. And if the family member is a mother or a dad, a very important family figure, then it affects the whole milieu of the
and all the siblings.
Everybody. And kids would not know different. Growing up in the environment all along, they would not know different what is healthy way of thinking and relating.
But one of the things, it seems to me, that's made such a giant leap in mental health has been that some of the stigma has been taken away from it. I know there's still a lot, but do you see that there is
I think it's getting better and better. Previous to coming to West Texas, I was in San Antonio. Previous to that, I was in Dallas and Houston. I've been in big cities. Of course, it makes a difference. West Texas is definitely very, very friendly and very welcoming, but stigma is definitely there. I'll tell you something about, particularly in males. My clientele, I would say 80% of my clientele are either children or females. I cannot tell you in my practice, and I must be having at least 700, 800 patients, I don't have a single South Asian male, my own kind, not a single African American male, not a single. Does it mean that emotional illness doesn't happen in South Asian males? No, they have it. Does it mean that the African Americans don't get emotional problems? No, they do. But the awareness, the willingness to seek help, it's extremely limited.
Or even the ability to know where to go is a lot of it. We're going to have to take a break, and we'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us for News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery. This has been a public affairs presentation of KWAB-TV and KWES-TV.